What's up, guys? Jesse here. Just finished day 2 of the ATHLEAN-X program. Kicks ass, guys.
Wow, somebody's been working on their delts.
You know, just a little bit here and there.
What's up, guys? Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com.
Jesse Lako, ATHLEAN-X.com.
Oh, I thought you were maybe the liver king with this look here.
What do you mean?
A little collab.
Well, there's 2 things I don't do, Jeff. I don't eat liver, and I don't eat trembolone sandwiches.
Wow. Geez, somebody's got something to get off their chest. Anything else in there?
I have a way better beard.
Jeez. Well, let's talk about you today, okay? But nobody else, you. And I want to talk about those delts because we go back 5 years to this video where we're actually talking about how a hard gainer, which was you, built big delts. And I want to be able to help everybody out there who's struggling to build their delts today because as they can see, you didn't really have any delts back then.
No, none at all.
I want to revisit some of the principles that you were doing in that video because those are actually the exact things that have led to your growth today, right?
And they're the same things I've been doing over and over and over since then.
And are you going to make some promises here? You're going to help people?
I promise that this is going to work for you guys. You too are going to grow your delts just like me.
Wow, big promises, Jesse. All right, well, listen, if we could do it for him, we could do it for anybody. Let's start breaking these down one by one. All right, so right off the bat, guys, if you want to build bigger shoulders, you're going to have to do some form of overhead pressing. This is one Jesse did.
I started off with dumbbells. For me, I was not strong enough to lift the bar. 45 pounds, and you know, that's what, roughly 22 and a half pounds per hand?
Right, with a dumbbell.
With the dumbbells. So I started off with light dumbbells, about 10, 15 pounds.
I mean, even in that video, you can see when you're doing the press, the dumbbells are wobbling all over the place.
Oh, all over the place.
Right. So the other thing, guys, again, is proprioception, right? You have to have that learning curve early on to learn how to actually move those dumbbells in space. It can be hidden by the bar. I'd actually rather throw him into the fire and have him learn how to move them independently, expose any right or left-sided imbalances, and just sort of address them all at once. And lastly, guys, when you learn to press with dumbbells, it's a little easier to get those elbows out in front of you to protect the shoulders as you build that base and that foundation strength. And guys, don't expect huge increases.
No, as a matter of fact, you're going to be moving really slow on this lift, more so than any other barbell lift at all, especially like the squat and the deadlift.
Yeah, we're adding like 5 and 10 pounds potentially as you increase.
With,
Here, it ain't going to happen.
With press, you're going to be using maybe 2.5 pounds, or you're going to have to be increasing the amount of volume that you're doing to increase your strength on the lift itself. Guys, it's a slow process, but it's a rewarding process that's worth every single second of effort that you put into it.
All right, so we talked about the push press, but it actually is one of the key factors in helping you to build bigger shoulders. Why?
When it comes to the push press, you're allowed to use more weight. And that's because you're using a little bit more momentum from your lower body to get that weight up overhead.
So when you're stuck, especially, guys, because remember, I just told you, you're going to get stuck somewhere along the way on that progressive overload and building up your strength on the strict press. This gives you a chance to sort of get around that.
Right, because you're able to push more weight, so when you come back to the strict press, you're more comfortable using more weight than you were before.
Control the eccentrics, guys, on the way down from every rep, just again to be able to learn how to handle that weight regardless of how heavy it is. And of course, make sure you build upon this at every opportunity so you can keep driving up that top end strength. All right, so now with the shoulder pressing in place and the heavy aspect of your training, remember guys, like I pointed out a long time ago in that video, you still have to focus on the light stuff because even for the skinny guy, the light stuff matters a lot. Tension being the main focus and driver, not necessarily repetitions.
Exactly.
So when you were doing an exercise like the hip hugger here, the goal was, again, not to count, but to do what?
To make the reps count.
Okay, nice use
Very
of word.
simple, as you always say.
Right, so, but again, what he's talking about is driving up every repetition, trying to increase almost that cramping feeling in the delts on the exercise.
Every single time, because when I found that I was counting to the reps that I wanted to, you know, I would get to that cramping feeling and then I'd stop. Because,
back off, right?
Back off because I wanted to get to the reps, as opposed to going to failure where I knew that I was going to get the most tension and the most gains possible.
A lot of times beginners are uncomfortable with that discomfort of the rep. You want to find a way to seek it out. So other exercises that you did it on, going back to that old school video, 1.5 reps.
Yeah, 1.5 rep side lateral raises.
And still not really using much heavier weight than you were.
Right now I'm still using light weight because again, I'm trying to focus as much tension as I can into the muscle itself.
But it feels probably way different than it did today than it did back then.
Right. It feels a lot more like I'm doing much more work and getting much more focus on the delt itself.
And then we also incorporate finishers. You had one that you like because of the continuous tension.
Exactly. That's the plate 8 sequence, which is, you know, plate 8s into plate raises, plate press outs, and then plate overhead presses.
Right, so just basically continually going through, not letting up on the delts, even though it's burning. Guys, it's the focus here being on driving as much tension into the delts. Again, forget the rep counts. Use them only as a guideline for where you want to fail in to know how heavy to load them. But for the most part, guys, stop counting those reps, make every one of them count. You'll start getting a lot more out of them, just like Jesse did. All right, so the next big key, particularly for those that can't build their shoulders, oftentimes there's a cheat code that you're overlooking. And the cheat code is the stretch reflex of a muscle. And when it comes to the delts, you have to actually intentionally try to do this because the exercises that we do normally don't provide the opportunity to do it. So the first thing we did was target the front delts.
Exactly. And the first thing that I did, the incline front stretch raise.
Right, so for the incline stretch raise, all you're doing is basically setting the incline up on a bench, which takes your arms back into extension at the bottom of every rep, naturally, right? But if you're doing this standing, you don't get that same opportunity. And the stretch reflex at the bottom of every rep is going to help you to recruit the muscle that you're trying to build. When you have a real problem building your shoulders, you oftentimes don't have that good connection. This actually builds it right into the exercise. Now, if you're working out at a gym, you have another option.
The cable stretch front raise. That's one of my absolute favorites to work my front delts.
Just setting up 2 cables. I like the fact that you're on your feet. It's a little bit more athletic, but you're getting those arms back behind your body. You can see the enormous amount of stretch placed on Jesse's front delt, and that's something that you really felt at the bottom of every rep.
Every single rep, every single time.
Right, so now the side delts, we can do the same thing, guys. You can apply the stretch if you know how to do it.
Yeah, I was actually getting my arms out in front of my body this
Right.
time because it was more comfortable on my shoulder and I was feeling a greater stretch on my delts actually.
Yeah, and not just your middle delt, but you're actually going to get some rear delt stretch here too.
Right.
And the key thing here, guys, is that while you're doing this, you can maximize that stretch by making sure that you don't over-rotate, right? If you just keep going with the arm, then you're really never creating that differential stretch on the delts.
Right.
And when we do this, guys, again, we can do it more safely and get better execution to build bigger delts. And then we actually have Jesse's secret weapon of all.
It's not quite a secret because I think everyone should be doing
Well,
it.
they're all going to find it out now, too.
You should be training your delts not just on delt day or push day, but also on back day or pull day because your rear delts respond to pulling movements as well.
So we would talk about an exercise like what?
Your favorite, the face pull.
And here, of course, guys, I talk all about the benefits of the exercise. Not only did it help him to get better posture, this is one of your fundamental exercises that I made you do all the time to build up his posture, but you can see it just gave him overall back development. Rear delts, rhomboids, upper back, traps. The exercise is going to do the same thing for you. It's going to give you an overall upper back developer, but the rear delts being a key component of that. The next thing for pull day
was my seated cable row.
And here, tell me why you like it.
I like it because by using a straight bar, I was able to get my hands out wider and able to get my elbows far back behind me to target my rear delts.
Right, so you can flare your elbows out a little bit more, but more importantly, get your elbows back behind your body when you use a long bar so you can get your grip wider out. When you use a V handle, kind of get stuck up against your midsection. Here, when you get those arms back behind you, I told you before in many videos, it's one of the main drivers of rear delt development. When you start to build those rear delts, things happen. The overall shoulder growth starts to happen, and this one was key for you.
Exactly.
And so no matter how skinny your delts are right now, guys, I promise you results if you start to incorporate Jesse's plan. We'll call it Jesse's plan. If you actually want to see that old video that Jesse was in, you can watch that one right here. If you want to watch his transformation, an impressive one at that, Jesse, you can watch that right over here. If you're looking for programs, exactly what Jesse uses himself, you can find them over at ATHLEAN-X.com. If you haven't done so, click subscribe and turn your notifications so you never miss a new video when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon.